Now we start with the Middle East. Israel's military chief has vowed to bring home the remains of an officer killed more than a decade ago in Gaza, following reports that Hamas has identified the location of his body after a search approved by Israel. According to the Army Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, he has met with the family of Lieutenant Hadar Goldin, who was killed during the 2014 six-week war in Gaza. Since his death, Goldin's body has been held in Gaza, with Hamas never publicly confirming his death or acknowledging possession of his remains. Another Israeli soldier, Oron Shaul, who was also killed in the 2014 conflict, whose body was recovered earlier this year during the ongoing war. Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Wael Awad. He's a Middle East affairs expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Dr. Wael, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, how do you analyze, how do you analyze the current ceasefire situation between Israel and Gaza, and how do you think that we ready for phase 2 as the hostage body exchange? Some of them still remain, and Hamas IDF still continue to violate ceasefire.
Yeah, exactly, Asuma. This is what's happening actually right now. The problem that we are about to get into the second phase of the ceasefire, where Hamas has already been handing over a dead body of remaining of soldiers, which he was being kept for since 2014. And that's a clear indication that there are certain pressures on both sides from the United States, and also the Hamas having some problem within the Rafah region, where Israeli troops are still stationed there. So therefore, they are trying to show like a good gesture by giving the remaining of his body. However, the situation in the ground remain very great, because we have lots of denial of the allowing the food aids to enter into the country, despite the fact that Britain also have issued a statement that they wanted the food aids to enter into Gaza because of the starvation of the people they are facing. And also the development in Israel itself, the internal turmoil of calling that they wanted to go back into the war against Hamas, that's also aggravated the situation. And the remaining of the situation in the occupied territories, also we see that what's happening in West Bank currently, that the farmers, the Palestinian farmers, have been attacked by settlers, and there are more than even journalists and even activists have been attacked by the Israelis, and one boy was killed by the Israeli army in West Bank. It's a clear indication that while the world is focusing on Gaza, Israel partially or completely.
Yes, indeed. And how do you analyze the aid situation? Do you think there is any trustworthy body that could look after the aid flow into Gaza and make sure the aid is reaching all the people in need in Gaza?
Well, I think everybody knows that every person, 2.4 million in Gaza, people living there are in need of, desperately needing help. The strip, you will get somebody who will be needing of it. That's because the second weapon have been used after the ceasefire is actually the starvation and the famine. Because every story you hear from the families of the Palestinians who survived the genocide, they will tell you that there is no place to live, there is no shelter, there is no food, there is no water, there is nothing on the land, everything is burned, everything is destroyed. So how you wanted these people to survive? Why you wanted to make sure how many, I mean, if you have 2.4 million people are hungry and you are having around 5 to 10,000 of the Hamas, will you compromise on the issues of denying the majority of the Palestinians because you are not achieving what you want and you wanted to please your internal politics to survive politically?
Yes. And Dr. Awai, lastly, do you think that other countries should help with I think they are called ISF, the international force that is supposed to be looking after in the phase 2, who should be deployed in this zone to make sure the ceasefire holds and the transition government can transition safely the government power to upcoming maybe situation or government in Gaza. Who do you think should be involved?
I think the United States is directly involved in this, and there will be international assistance forces, but see that the dictation from the Israeli side, they are not interested in allowing any forces to come in Gaza without their approval. And it's not even calling it an international forces because they know that this is under the international law. They are still, the Palestinians are under occupation, whether they are in West Bank, whether they are in Gaza Strip. So therefore, giving them that international tag on them will not allow the Israelis free hand to attack inside and also violate the ceasefire or whatever agreement they achieve to. And secondly, the United States is applying a tremendous pressure, and I am sure that President Trump, he is in a position to ensure not only the ceasefire, but also to ensure the flow of the aids, and also make sure that the Israeli government does not violate what have been accepted and what have been approved by both sides. So therefore, most of the people in the ground, they believe that UNRWA, the UN Agency for Refugees, and the other UN aids which have been working in the region for more than 5 to 6 decades, have been giving the Palestinians all their aids and help. I think these are the right agency to allow them also to let the food flow and distribution of the food, not to depend on certain numbers of American ex-soldier or ex-army or the United States and the Israelis, who have already had some people within the Gaza Strip, and they are already allowing these people to create havoc and kill other people and being their malls inside, so to create a kind of a civil war within the Palestinian rather than helping the suffering of the people.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Dr. Wael Awad for joining us as a Middle East affairs expert from New Delhi. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Russia-Ukraine. Russian Defense